One. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Jones, and this is Jones for Sports Podcast. And today we're joined always with my host Luke. Luke, what's up, man?
What's going on, Sean?
And today we have a very special guest, especially for me and Luke, a hometown friend of ours, high school, from growing up and everything. Nick Annunziata joins us today. And Luke, I'll let you introduce him even more because you know a little bit more about what he's here to talk about.
So what's interesting about Nick, for those of you who don't know who he is or what he does, he's a PGA professional out of the New York metropolitan section. Knows a lot about golf. I actually play. Well, his brother is actually one of my main playing partners. And we welcome you to the show. Nick, what's going on?
What's going on, gentlemen? I'm a huge fan of your show. I love what you're doing.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
My pleasure.
So first, let's get into some questions about how you got into golf, because me growing up with you and your brothers, never knew you were a golfer until maybe 2 years ago. I think we bumped into each other and we talked about it, and it was just really interesting. And one, I want to say I'm very proud of you for getting that far and, you know, doing what you're doing and representing Fox Lane a little bit out there. So proud of you for that. And first, how did you get interested into golf?
Yeah, pretty straightforward, man. My grandfather was a golfer his whole life, and since my first memories was watching black and white Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan videos, and playing golf with my grandfather, man. The first memories of my life.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's real awesome. So where did you learn? So I assume you learned a little bit from your grandfather. Where else did you get your golfing game? Where'd you learn it from? Who inspired you?
Yeah, for sure. First and foremost, my grandfather was definitely my inspiration of the game, my love of the game. But, growing up, like I would say 98% of other people in the world, Tiger Woods, man. You know, I'm an 89 baby. I'm proud to be an 80s baby. And, growing up watching the GOAT, the GOAT is the one that we aspire to be. And, damn, man. I mean, I can't remember a time without Tiger Woods in my life. But, I grew up in Mount Kisco, New York, as you know, and I caddied for 10 years at a Mount Kisco Country Club as a young buck from 12 to 21. And, that's where, I really learned how to hone in on my craft, as far as playing a little bit more competitively. But, that's pretty much my upbringing right there.
What's up?
Nice. That's dope. That's real dope. My last question before I hand it off to Luke is, when did you realize that this is the career that you wanted to go? Like, you know what? Golf is what I want to do, and I'm just going to go with this all the way.
That's a great question. So I was in my last year of college at the Buffalo State University, not the University of Buffalo, UB. And, I was my senior year, and pretty much the first week of senior year, as I was studying to be a social studies teacher, before day one of senior year started, I said to myself, I was like, man, I want to be a teacher, but I can't see myself indoors for 9 months of the year, 10 months of the year. I'm like, I can't be trapped behind a desk. So I was like, what am I going to do? And, before my last year started, I enrolled into the PGA of America, and I finished out my entire year of college. But right when I got back in the spring, of 2012, in New York metropolitan section, I played and passed my professional test, my player ability test, where you had to shoot, an average score of, 78 or better. And I got my my PGA membership card a couple years after. But I got my degree. I definitely finished that out first, and then jumped right into the PGA program. And within 2 years, I got my PGA, card, and I'm now a club professional. Shortly thereafter, it's been about 6 years now that I've been a PGA member.
That's nuts.
That's awesome, man. Proud of you, man.
So you had mentioned just now that you had to take like a skill proficiency, like we had to shoot a 78 or below. Is within the PGA, is there a difference between guys like you who maybe are getting into like the teaching pro side of the game as opposed to someone trying to get to like, the actual tour going through like Q school?
Yeah, I do have to say you guys are starting off with some really, really good questions. That's something that people should know. First and foremost, there's a very clear distinction between a PGA Tour card holder, which are the guys you see on tour, and a PGA member / club professional like myself, who, like 38,000 other professionals in the country. To give you an example of the difference, someone like myself went through the apprenticeship program, which you have to work 40 hours a week underneath a head professional who signs off on your due diligence. And, basically you take a qualifying level test, which is just a basic, 20 to 50 question test, whatever it may be, on just the history of the game and whatnot. And once you pass that, then you're eligible to enroll into the PGA of America to be a PGA member club professional. Now, there's 3 levels: level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is, a level where there's, like every other, there's bookwork that you have to do. There's a seminar. Essentially, you have to pay $2,000 per seminar for the 3 seminars, starting with seminar 1, and that encompasses a majority of the bookwork. They call it kind of like the phasing out phase, people who aren't as serious to become a member. And basically, it's about 6 months of studying, and then you go to the seminar. Your bookwork opens up after you go to the seminar, and while you're there, you go over the bookwork. And when you get home from the 5-day, 1-week seminar, you then can begin your bookwork. You have to complete it, submit it, get approved, and then you take your test for level 1 seminar, which you do at testing facilities that are structured to be, kind of all over your general area where you live. Once you pass your test, 5 sections, you then get approved to enter into level 2 and continue that process until you get through the 3rd level. And once you complete the 3rd level, you do have to pass your final test, which is the PAT Player's Ability Test, which you have to play, one golf course 2 times in 1 day. And depending on the rating of the golf course, the difficulty, you have to shoot approximately, 78 or better, which is about 6 over or better in 2 consecutive rounds. It's not just a challenge of, skill, but also a challenge of endurance and mental toughness.
Right.
Anybody can, who's in the business can definitely perform those scores, but, it's pretty much one of the only tournaments you'll ever play in your life where there's a set number that you have to shoot or better. And that right there alone, just knowing that there's a set number, is a challenge within itself, because at that point it's you playing against yourself, because you're capable of doing it any given day. But when there's a number, that's when the mental toughness begins,
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sure people have heard from like watching, let's say, the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship, any of those tournaments. If you've ever heard the phrase, even on SportsCenter, it's moving day, or cut day. Again, bear in mind for the listeners, that's different. That is not a set number necessarily. That's more or less established by the field. Very super interesting to hear that distinction between the playing and the teaching pros. Like I never I figured Q school had like 2 sectors to it, or 2 different, like served almost like a dual purpose. That's super interesting.
Well, if you don't mind me cutting in real quick, just to clarify the distinction of the club professional, which is the route I just described. The other route for a club professional is going to a certified PGA college of sorts, where you do 4 years just like you do college, and you go through the same process. The only difference is it's 4 years, a set structured schedule, versus someone like myself who went through the apprenticeship program, where you can actually save a lot of money. I spent about $8,000 and did it in 2 years or less. Whereas in the college route, you have to
Nice.
spend 4 years and you probably spend about $80,000+. And to use to just clarify on the distinction between that and a PGA Tour professional, guys like, the best, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, and Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler. When I wake up in the morning during my golf season, we have a lot of responsibilities. I wake up at 6, I get to work by 7, and, I start preparing that tournament for the day, or start getting ready to teach lessons or playing with the membership. The difference is when I wake up and the sun's coming up, I'm getting ready for work. The difference with these tour professionals is prior to the sun coming up, or as the sun's coming up, these guys are hitting golf balls, getting ready for, 18 holes, playing. They get done, they eat lunch. It's probably 11 o'clock. They get back out on the range. They practice, they putt, they chip, bunker shots, corky lies. This is their job. My job is to maintain a professional level of playing. But at the same time, I have tournaments to run, tournaments to play in, a lot of other responsibilities, to do. And these guys, their job is to play and perform every day. My job is to do the same, but I have other responsibilities, as does the other 30,000 golf professionals that are club professionals in this country. So, our lifestyle is a bit different. They play for money. We do play for money as well. And in the New York metropolitan section, the best section in the country, where the PGA of America was formed in New York City, we definitely have a lot of responsibility to perform as well. But these guys on tour, their tour card, they have different tournaments to go through to qualify. And these guys are on a whole nother level. Not to say we can't compete. We definitely can. 5 guys this year from the New York metropolitan section played PGA championship at Bethpage Black. And, one of our guys, I believe it was Danny Balin from, he was or is at Glen Arbor, or was at Glen Arbor. And he plays quite often in the PGA championship every other year at the very least. And he beat out guys like Bubba Watson. So our guys can play, but, again, it's not necessarily our job. Our job is to cater to the membership.
Right. That's it's funny.
Let me cut in real
ahead,
quick,
John.
Luke.
Yeah, go ahead.
Based off of what you just talked about, do you have any dreams of getting or reaching that type of level, or are you just comfortable where you are right now?
My man, the dream's never dead. U.S. Opens, PGA Championships, Travelers Championship in Connecticut, Honda Classic qualifiers in South Florida coming up in the next week. I mean, these are things that we try for every year. The dream's never dead. I mean, the goal is always to be, on tour. Even if it's for just an event. One event, playing the U.S. Open, PGA Championship, whatever it may be. These are dreams that never die. Every year restarts again, and we try to play with the big boys.
There you go. It's funny. You were just rattling off a list of the major tournaments. And there's one that you didn't mention. I'm a little bit surprised you didn't. Every year, and I believe it's earlier in February, maybe late January, the Waste Management out in Phoenix, the look on your face says it all. You know what I'm talking about. That 16th hole there looks like the most entertaining hole in golf, where all the formalities of the Shooter McGavin style of play are out the window. Is that a tournament that you one day want to go to and experience from even just the spectator side?
I'll tell you what, man, if I had the money, I'd pay $1 million just to play in the event. That is by far the most exciting hole in golf. And, no one can dispute that. I mean, I'll never forget watching this past year, they were cheering on Ricky Fowler, they call him BDR. I don't want to say what that stands for, because it's not appropriate, but
it's on Barstool.
It's on Barstool Sports, but you guys got wearing jerseys for Kobe and, all sorts of stuff going on there, man. And it's amazing. I mean, you hit a bad shot, people are throwing beers at you, but it's all in good fun. That's probably that right there, that Waste Management, man. I'd rather play personally in a U.S. Open or a PGA Championship, but that right there is next level. If you can get into something like that, you're doing something right in your golf game.
Yeah, right. So sticking with the tournament theme here, if any, I'm sure you have, of the tournaments you've ever played in, how many have you played in, and what's the best you've ever done in a tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have the exact number of tournaments I played in, but as a professional for 8 years, if I could ballpark it, around 10 events a year for 8 years, around 80 events. And to my credit, I've worked hard on my game. I've played at New York State Open at Bethpage Black, which is one of the tougher courses I've ever played in my life. I finished I finished 8th place at an event a couple years ago in one of our events, which paid out pretty well. I'm usually in the top 20-ish, but like any other craft in the world, not just our country, especially where we are in the New York metropolitan section, the best players, the best teachers, the best and most historic golf courses. We're going up against the best assistant and head professionals in the country. So to finish top 8 in an assistant event of a field of 120, playing in a New York State Open, Long Island Open, sectional championships, I've done well for myself. I still haven't won yet. That's the goal. Something that I know at some point I will do, I will accomplish. But it's not easy, man. I'm playing with the best men and women in this country as far as playing professionals for club pros. So.
Yeah, right. Now you mentioned Bethpage, and that is just a legendary course. I mean, anyone who knows even a modicum of golf knows that's up there with some of the most renowned courses in the world. Is there one particular course that you've played that was just the best course you've ever played in terms of the manicured greens, fairways, no brown spots on the fairways and the tee boxes?
Yeah. What I can tell you is I'm sure you have heard of or have watched that Tiger Woods Phil match over at Shadow Creek Country Club out in Las Vegas. I actually was out at a Pro-Am this past November with my head professional and members from Bonnie Brower Country Club right across the street from Wingfoot in Larchmont, New York. And we went out there, and 8 of us, and we played Shadow Creek where Tiger and Phil had their match. And I'll tell you what, up until that point, Bethpage Black was the toughest golf course I had ever played in my life. And I played Shadow Creek, and long, manicured beautifully, perfectly, tough, fair, and very similar in certain ways to Bethpage Black as far as difficulty. But that was one of the more beautiful courses I played. But I can't say that was the most beautiful, because in the New York metropolitan section, we have some of the most historic golf courses like Wingfoot, Shinnecock, Quaker Ridge. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I don't even want to begin to start naming, but Shadow Creek was definitely a special place. And, I heard some good stories about the place.
Nice.
As well.
And again, sticking with the courses, it seems like your answer might be here in the home section. What's your favorite course if you had to pick one?
All right. Well, I'm sure that a very minimal percentage of people will agree with me, because there's so many good ones. But I grew up caddying for 10 years at Mount Kisco Country Club, and for whatever reason, it has a special place in my heart. It's such a great golf course. But, like I said, probably 2% of people in the area would probably agree with me, if that. But I worked there for so long, I know it in and out. But there are so many good ones, man. I mean, I played Wingfoot this October in U.S. Open condition. They set it up ready to go, and I had the chance to play with a buddy of mine, Nick Denny from Wingfoot, an assistant there. And that was, at that time, under the conditions, was the most difficult I've ever played in my life in U.S. Open conditions. But Mount Kisco is a very special place to me. I grew up there. I love that place. The members, it was probably my favorite place to play, because I go low there every time I play there. I just know it in and out. So
yeah, right.
Biased, for sure.
Kisco Country Club used to be a PGA course, right?
It used to be what?
That course used to be on tour, didn't it? Or did I hear that wrong?
No. We
never.
Hosted sectional qualifiers there for the New York State Open, stuff like that.
That makes sense. Okay, so maybe I just misheard that. I know I have an answer to that.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, Mine's Bedford golf and tennis, which I don't know. I'm sure you've gotten on that track too. I love that.
Yeah, that's one of the more difficult courses to play in Westchester County, New York, for sure. Very, very good golf course.
I can't break 100 at that course. I can't at most courses, but I have no shot at that course.
Yeah, most people don't at that golf course. It's like a miniature Bethpage Black, to be honest with you. It's a very, very difficult golf course.
No, it's bad. Although I did birdie 15 there last year, and I was thrilled. I hit my best shot of the year on 15 there last year, by far.
Well, remember, there's no pictures on the scorecard. So, however it got done, it got done.
I got 3 witnesses. I'll take it. So bringing it from the courses into your bag, what clubs are you playing now? And if you had to pick one club for the rest of your life that could never leave your bag, what would you pick?
Yeah, the listeners can definitely learn from this. Without a doubt, it's the putter. You know, you can slap the ball around. It might not look pretty, but at the end of the day, if you want to keep that score around even par, you need a putter, and you need to putt the ball in the hole. I don't care what anybody says. And the one advice I would give to anybody listening who has played golf, would like to play golf, whatever the case may be, you need to start around the green, miniature golf, putt the golf ball, learn how to do that first, and then work your way back to, you know, hitting the wedges, hitting the driver, etc. But the putter is the most important club in your bag. And in order to win tournaments on any level, you need to know and learn how to get that golf ball in that hole.
Yeah. So and then what
quick question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Why do you say that for the listeners? Why do you say that the putter is the most important iron that you use?
Yeah, well, I think emulation of some of the greatest golfers to ever play the game is important in order to be good, and learning from them. And if you want, I'm going to have to refer to the GOAT, Tiger Woods, again. He learned how to play golf from the putting green all the way back to the tee, which is where you hit your driver. And, you know, he learned how to putt the ball first. And if you want to be decent at golf, good or great at golf, you need to be able to learn how to putt the golf ball in the hole. That's just a fact.
He's right. I 3-putt on greens way too often, and it kills my scorecard.
I mean, I have a good reference for you. If you saw a couple of years ago, Dustin Johnson in Hawaii, TaylorMade staff member as well, he hit the ball 410 yards. He hit it to about 6 inches and tapped it in for a 2 eagle on a par 4. And it's the same thing as if he hit the ball down the middle to 150 yards and then hit the ball in the hole from 150 yards. It's still 2 shots. So, you know, if he missed that 1-foot putt, you know, and made a 3,
right?
You know, I mean, it's the same amount of strokes. It's 1 shot.
Yeah, right. And then what club would you keep if you had to take that one club for the rest of your life? What's the one club that would never leave your bag?
Yeah, that was the putter that we mentioned earlier.
Okay. So literally the putter.
The putter, without a doubt.
So to speak on your putter, since you're a TaylorMade golfer, correct?
That is correct.
Are you using the Spider putter or any of the older TP putters or even the newer ones?
Yeah, my TaylorMade representative for the New York Metropolitan section is going to hate me for this, but I play every club in my bag is TaylorMade. The only one I do not play is my putter. It's a custom putter made by a company called Edel, E-D-E-L, fully custom from start to finish. It takes about an hour or so to get fit for you. Cost me about $500, but you know, I keep telling my representative, listen, I love the TaylorMade putters. I can definitely put them in my bag and play with them, but unless we make a TaylorMade putter that's exactly built to spec as the current putter that I have, that is absolutely perfect for me, I can't change putters because it gets the job done better than everything else.
There you go. And then last question on your putter. Obviously, I've never heard of that Edel company. But having worked at Dick's Sporting Goods, gone club shopping dozens and dozens of times, Are you more of a mallet style or a blade guy?
Good question. I'm more of a blade guy, traditional putter. But on this note, it kind of is leading us into the whole club fitting conversation. I do want to mention to yourself, Sean, and anybody else listening, if you guys are ever interested, or ladies ever interested in golfing, and you get serious, just know that you should definitely see your local PGA professional anywhere, public or private facilities, and get fit properly for clubs. Going to a Dick's Sporting Goods or an Edward Watts and just buying clubs off the shelf is not the way to go. Once you actually know how to hit the golf ball consistently and solidly, at least solid, you need to go and get fit. Just a fun fact, I said putter is my favorite club, most important. You need to get fit for every club, from putter to driver. The putter, if you two-putt every green, that's 36 shots. That's at least half your score, could be more. So you need to make sure you get fit properly from your local PGA professional for the putter all the way through your driver. It takes about an hour, hour and a half. It's worth the $150 or whatever they charge. And you at least know that you have the right tools for the trade and you're going to be able to perform at your best. If you don't, and you're playing terribly often, it's most likely because you don't have the properly fit clubs for yourself.
Yeah. Having recently gone through the fitting process myself, I didn't get a full bag yet. I still got to do my driver and my hybrids and whatnot, but I do have custom fit just to validate what you were just saying. I got fit. What I get through fit for 3 wood down to my wedges, and I immediately shaved about 15 strokes off my score from working with a pro, getting fit. And again, not to shout out your opponent here in the club game, but I got a used set of Callaways that were bent 2 degrees upright, added extensions to the shafts, and some oversized jumbo tour prides. Phenomenal grips. So again, I'm sure you do this with people when you do your lessons. Do you fit for people as well, right?
Absolutely. I invested in a $10,000 piece of machinery that I own, with an iPad, and just like those simulators you see, it shows you on the range your flight, your spin, your distance, a bunch of other information that we need as professionals to, teach you where you're missing out as far as, whether it be the right grip, the right shaft, the way the club's bent, et cetera. But not gonna lie, I'm impressed that you were able to shave that many strokes off your game by getting fit. That's a great example. I am a little bit offended that you didn't come to me, but that's a conversation for another time.
I worked with this guy at Dick's. So back when Dick's staffed PGA pros in store, so me and him had a working relationship already, and I took 5 lessons with him. So it wasn't just the clubs. It was me getting fit, and just gaining consistency with a 7-iron and just learning how to, not just hit it, but hit it straight, not sculling it or not catching it fat, getting the good ball flight, the whole 9. Everything you just said was applied the same way. And his name is Jim Awad. Shout out to him. He's out of Tapan Golf Center. But yeah, he hooked it up. Got me fit.
Yeah,
driver.
If there's one thing I can say to those listening, just about what actually club fitting can do for you, it's quite simple. When you it doesn't matter how long you've been playing, but if you do get fit, what you will see when you get fit for the clubs and play with them, you'll hit the ball a lot more solid. You'll see a better ball flight. You'll hit it a lot straighter, whether it be your good shot or your misses. And at the end of the day, it does take putting in order to score, but you'll notice you'll be in a lot better position to get lower scores because of having properly fit clubs, without a doubt. Distance and accuracy come with that. Yeah,
he is not lying. The difference, and your brother could vouch for this, is one of my main playing partners. And he uses a set that fits him perfectly too. I mean, he's the only kid that off the tee can take a 4-iron and just smack the thing like 230 yards. It's legitimately impressive. I can tell you worked with your brother, because he's always been a golf guy, but you can tell he's got some insider knowledge that the general public may not have gotten.
Well, I mean, just to clear that up, he definitely does have the mental knowledge, but the only thing I've done for him was actually just tell him to get fit, and he did get fit, and it changed his game for sure. I've given him a very quick tip lesson, nothing serious, but the fitting changed his game. That is without a doubt 100% true.
Yeah, and he's got a nice set of clubs that he will not be getting rid of for at least the next 10 years, for sure.
Absolutely, for sure.
So I think you might have covered this, but in your opinion, because obviously you had mentioned Tiger working from the green back to the tee box when he was learning. Would you say that the short game or just everything inside of like 100 yards is the most important part, or specifically on the green? What's the most important part of a golfer's game, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll answer that question right away and just say it's the short game without a doubt, and any decent golfer will tell you the same thing. But just for some, inside info as far as playing in tournaments for quite a bit of money on a weekly basis, I can tell you that for almost a decade as a pro, playing in tournaments for big purses, I've seen a lot of great golf. I've played with a lot of great golfers, some of the best players in the section, some of the best club pros in the country. And without a doubt, the one thing that impresses me more than anything is their ability to get up and down from a trash can. Distance doesn't impress me. Distance is great. Don't get me wrong. It can definitely help. But, I know I play with guys who hit the ball 350, when I'm hitting it 300 at best. And I've seen these guys go low. I've also seen guys who can bomb the ball as far, and I beat them out by a handful of shots. What impresses me is being able to get up and down, making that par, saving that birdie, whatever the case may be. That's hands down the most important thing in golf. You can ask any tour pro. It's all about the putts and the chips.
Yeah. And I think you covered this one as well, but since you are a teaching pro, for anyone listening who wants to get into golf, which I highly, highly encourage as a very amateur golfer, but I enjoy the hell out of it. What's one piece of advice you would give to anyone looking to get into the game?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think that any professional athlete in any sport would agree with me on this one. It's all about the fundamentals of the game. And in golf, what that means is when you learn how to play, it's all about the way you grip the club first and foremost. The way that you handle the club and grip it is the only thing that connects you to that club. So if you're not gripping it right, you don't have a chance. But if you are gripping it right, you have a chance. And after that, I say the top three things that we're taught to teach in the PGA, which stand true to this day, is grip, stance, and posture. If you have those three things fundamentally sound, you're going to be pretty good. You're going to be able to do what you need to do. Anything after that, you might need to seek assistance, whether it be a half-hour lesson just to understand what you need to do and what you need to work towards. But grip, stance, and posture are the three most important things that you need to learn before you can actually go out on that golf course and perform.
Nice. Real quick, I have one other question.
Take notes, even.
So real quick, I just thought of one other question that I have to run by you. We've seen now, and I guess through, YouTube and just, the social media platform, there's a lot of PGA pros. It seems like it's more of a thing out of the UK and Europe, but there's a lot of guys who are doing swing tutorials and vlogs and all types of just wonderful golf material on YouTube. Do you have any favorite golf YouTube channels? I know I have a couple, but I'm curious to see which ones you personally were a fan of, if any.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of them out there. And I can definitely say, as far as a fan standpoint, I don't know the man himself, but I've seen his work. And I do have to say the guy to follow on Instagram is definitely George Gankis. He's him and his students, at least him, he's very, very good at what he does. He has a buddy on there, the best golfer, who's hilarious. You should definitely follow him. But definitely he's the new breed of golf coach. He doesn't stray from the fundamentals, but he has a different approach to teaching the swing. And he's definitely revolutionary in that sense. Definitely a shout out to him and his people. He has a very good, actually many players on tour that he teaches, but one in particular is a very fun to watch guy, Matthew Wolf, also a TaylorMade staff member. He does some sort of little Harlem Shake move before he actually hits the ball. It's actually pretty cool to watch. If you haven't seen him, definitely YouTube Matthew Wolf. But George Gankis, he is definitely an instructor to follow.
Okay. And then conversely, there's also channels on YouTube for the vloggers. And, the course vlogs are getting huge. We see Barstool's even doing it now. Do you have any golf vlog channels like Golfholics, Golficity, Golf Vlogs UK that you are particularly fond
of? To be honest with you, I don't. Maybe in the future I will, but I do want to, wave a flag of caution to those who are looking on YouTube to advice. There's definitely good videos on there, specific videos that maybe one should look for, but be very careful, when you look on that stuff, because the information being relayed might not cater specifically to you. Everyone's built differently. Some people are taller, some people are shorter. The golf swing is just a little bit different in certain ways based on your build and your body type. So, if I were someone to be Googling anything on YouTube, I definitely want to say for anybody in that 5'9" range or a little shorter, South African tour professional Louis Oosthuizen has the most beautiful swing on tour, hands down, bar none, for 5'9", 5'10", or shorter. And anybody taller than that range, I would definitely advise them to look at someone like Adam Scott. He is, aside from what some would say is like a GQ model type of individual, he's about 6 foot plus. He's a solid stature. And this guy's swing for such a tall person is absolutely picture perfect. Him and Louis Oosthuizen are definitely, for their heights and their builds, the perfect swing to emulate and try to copy, for sure.
Nice. Sean, you got anything else?
Yeah, I have one more question. Like in other sports, we see the analytics of sports come into play a lot. My question for you is, has analytics come into the world of golf, and if so, how so?
Yeah, I actually recently, past year, was watching the Golf Channel, and matter of fact, it wasn't even the Golf Channel. It was actually my sales representative from the New York Metropolitan section filled me in on some inside information about the tour professionals, someone like Rory McIlroy, who I'm sure we've all heard the name, also a TaylorMade staff member. And I didn't know this, but, he'll, before he goes and plays a course, they'll have his track record there, and they'll show him, hey, the past 5 years, you took this club off of this tee or this club off of this tee, and this was your scoring average, and this is where you hit the ball. And, here are things that you should probably look at, review, maybe change your strategy, because your percentages of scoring better by using this club versus this club has helped you significantly. Right. And I didn't realize that they took that baseball aspect, like Moneyball situation, to golf. And the sales representatives, of course, want to do anything they can do to help their staff member play better. And by giving them a little bit of a little packet of work of like, hey, this is your history, you need to alter some stuff. That was pretty eye-opening. That was pretty cool to see.
So do you use it for yourself?
Yeah. So for myself, we don't quite have as much time as those tour pros do to be able to go scope out a golf course and play it a couple times before the event. We do have an opportunity to play the golf course once, at least, if we haven't seen it already. But definitely scope out the course, play it once, kind of scope out yardages, what is the best odds of us hitting the fairway with the scoring club in hand on the next shot to be able to get it close to the hole and try to make a putt. And we definitely scope out the green complexes and try to figure out where the best place to putt the golf ball is, in order to have the best chance of making that birdie or par, where we can miss, etc. But, like I said, we have 8 months of 6-7 days a week worth of work at the club, so we don't have as much time as those guys and ladies do to scope out a golf course and feel it out.
Nice. Okay.
There you go. I'm out of questions here, Sean. You got anything?
I'm out of questions as well. Before we go, thank you, first of all, for joining us, Nick. Greatly appreciated. But before we go, shout out to everyone that, I give a shout out to, who you represent and things like that, and where we can find you and learn more about golf.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an Instagram, Annunziata PGA, on Instagram. But aside from that, I just definitely wanted to shout out to Team TaylorMade countrywide. Joe Calazo, TaylorMade Golf, my sales representative, Bonnie Brock Country Club out of Larchmont, New York, which is where I work. U.S. Open 2020, Wingfoot, Larchmont, New York, everybody. If you haven't heard, definitely a spectacle to go see, sometime in June. And I do appreciate you having me on the show. Anything I can ever do to help out, I'd definitely love to be back. This was an awesome experience.
Thanks for joining us, and best of luck going forward with you and your career.
Absolutely, man. We're going to do big things.
Yes, sir. When Nick, when you're back in Westchester, let me know. We got to play around, me, you, and your brother.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem, man. Anytime anybody needs any help with their game, just let me know. Annunziata PGA Golf, or, find me on Facebook, Bonnie Brock Country Club. Give a call over. I'll be there.
All right.
Good boy. It's your boy, Sean, Luke, Nick, Jones of Sports Podcast. We're out.
Peace.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Nice.